Okay, the holiday of Sukkot is more than any of the other holidays. It gives a blessing to the non-Jews. The Jewish people are here to be public servants. We're here to bring blessing to all of the world. That's what God said to Abraham. Will be blessed by you. That all the families of the world will be blessed for you. And God repeated this also by Abraham, by Isaac and Jacob, especially by Jacob. So to bring blessing, but especially in the holiday of Sukkot. So I'll tell you an interesting story. When I go, usually every month of Tishrei, and when it's the time of Sukkot, I go to the Babich Rebbe's headquarters in Crown Heights. It's a very holy place, a very happy place. Inspiration, tremendous. And I take a lulav and etrog, and I go to Manhattan, and I stand on the street and ask people if they're Jewish. And if they are Jewish, then I ask them to do a simple commandment, take the lulav and etrog, tell them it's a holiday today. So, I mean, it goes without saying, you know, people that look obviously that they're not Jewish, even though today it's very difficult to tell, but so usually I don't ask them. But I don't ask them. You know, people, the black people usually, the people look really, you can't really tell nowadays. It doesn't make any difference. But anyway, so I have a few interesting stories about this. But here's one of them. So I think this was in Washington Square or something that I got off. Usually every morning I would go after I finished praying in the morning. I went to 770. That's the big building where the headquarters of the Rebbe. And I would ask young people or anybody to go with me because I didn't want to go alone. And everybody was already had partners. So I would just go on my own. So I went on my own and I was standing in the street and anybody who came along, I'd say, "Excuse me, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish?" So I stood there for maybe about an hour. Asked them. Some people did take lulav and etrog, and some people didn't, and some people did. And some people said, "No, I'm not Jewish. I'm not Jewish." And some people came over to me and asked me, "What am I doing?" Especially black people, especially the black people who came and said, well, so they asked me, what are we doing? I'd say it's a Jewish holiday today. Oh, that's wonderful. It's beautiful. Anyway, so a young Jewish couple. It's the holidays, right? It's the intermediate days of the holiday. The holiday of Sukkot is there's one day before. Outside of Israel, is 2 days, and then there's 2 days in the end. And all the intermediate days, yeah, you can. It's just regular weekdays, basically, just regular weekdays. You can do work. You can. So there was a couple standing. I saw there was a couple. I looked around. I just looked around, and I saw that there was a couple standing like at sort of the end of the park. I could see from a distance, they looked like they were dressed well, and you could see that they were Jews. The man, young couple, maybe in their early 20s, they had a baby carriage, and the man was clean shaven. There's a lot of religious Jews that are clean shaven, and I saw they were a very sort of handsome sort of a couple. Anyway, so I looked around just to look around to see if there was anybody, and every time I would look around, it said they got a little bit closer to me. Finally, to the point where they were standing like right in back of me, and I was asking people, "Excuse me, sir, are you Jewish? Jewish holiday today? Haha, Jewish holiday." He said, "Oh, want to do a come here? Just take this a little bit." And they were taking. So finally, I don't remember. I think that it was the woman though. She came to me. They were standing right back of me. I said, "Hello, how are you? Did you do lulav and etrog today?" They said, "Yes, we do, but we have a question." So I figured they would ask a question, why are you doing this? What are you doing? No, they said, how do you know who's Jewish? How do you know who's Jewish? So I said, I don't understand. What do you mean the question? How do I know who's Jewish? How do you know? I said, I don't know who's Jewish. How do I know who's Jewish? They said, you don't know who's Jewish? I said, no, I don't know. I just ask people, if they're Jewish or not. I said, why do you think I know we're Jewish? So the man and the woman, they looked at they looked at each other and said, because everybody that you ask smiles. They're all happy. But it must be that, nobody seems to be offended. Everybody smiles. It must be the Jewish. So I realized, true, I ask a lot of people, if they don't look obviously not Jewish. There's Chinese people. I don't ask if they're, if they're Jewish, the Oriental people. I don't ask if they're Jewish. So I don't ask, but everybody who's not like clearly, Oriental or, clearly a Negro or clearly this, I ask them. And as I said, they said, everybody smiles. Everyone is happy that you're asking. So I said, I didn't notice. I didn't notice. So they said, yeah, look, you'll notice. And they went away. They sort of stood back. And I noticed afterwards, I asked people, excuse me, sir, are you Jewish? Everybody smiled. Everyone was happy. Listen, maybe nowadays it's different. Maybe nowadays it's different. This story I'm telling is like 10 years ago. Could be nowadays it's different. I'm not in America now, so I can't say. Now people feel free to say bad things about Jews, and also people have ideas in their mind. I don't know, but anyway, that's the way it was back then. Everybody was happy to be asked, excuse me, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? Interesting. Doesn't seem to be normal. I didn't believe it myself, but after they said it and I looked at it, I noticed that it's true. And I think that the reason is because this holiday is really made for all mankind. It says that they used to bring 70 oxes to the temple corresponding to the 70 basic nationalities that there are in the world. So while I'm at it, I'll just tell another story, which I think I told you this story a few days ago. And that is another year I did the same thing, or it could have even been the same year, but maybe a different day. I don't think so. Every day I went to the same. Anyway, so I went to another place in Manhattan, and I went alone. And there came a fellow with a baby carriage. He was maybe in his 30s, but he looked like a businessman. He looked like he was, with no kippah, no. So I said, excuse me, sir, are you Jewish? He said, yeah, I'm Jewish. I said, do you know it's a Jewish holiday today? He said, yeah, I heard something about that. What holiday is it? So I said, it's the holiday of Succot. Oh, good. He said, do a commandment. I said, what do I have to do? I said, just hold these. I'll tell you what the blessing to make, and you just shake it a little bit. So he said, okay. Does it cost anything? I said, no, it doesn't cost. Good. So he takes it and he makes the two blessings, the Shir Kedishanu of Mitzvotov, Al Natul Lulav and Shechianu. And then he shakes them and he gives it back to me. And he says, that made me feel happy. I feel really happy. But he was a normal guy. He was a normal guy pushing a baby carriage. Right? And taking the lulav and etrog made him feel happy. Usually you see a comedian, you see a performance. It makes you feel happy a little bit. You didn't waste your time. You heard a couple of good jokes. But here I took a stick with a couple of the fruit, and he shook it and made him happy. Why? Because the fact is it is a godly thing, and it has nothing to do with indoctrination and nothing to do with religion and nothing to do with psychology or psychiatry or whatever it is. It's a soul thing that everybody takes lulav and esrog, or at least they know that there is such a thing. They know that there's a God that creates them and loves them. Maybe they don't know it intellectually, but they know it in their soul. Jews as well as non-Jews. Have a good day with Mashiach now.